Professor Alan Dershowitz.
Thank you very much for inviting me to present the honor to my dear friend Chris Ruddy, who well deserves it. We live in increasingly dangerous times. Around the world, we're seeing the left turn further and further and further to the extreme left, whether it be in Great Britain, with the head of the Labour Party being someone who is virulently anti-Zionist and who tolerates anti-Semitism, whether it be on American universities, which routinely ban pro-Israel speakers and invite the most excessive anti-Israel speakers, whether it be in the Antifa movement, whether it be in Black Lives Matter, which singles out only Israel, calls it genocidal and apartheid. This is an extreme danger because it presents the possibility of a future which would replicate what's going on university campuses today unless we can stop it. We're also seeing many people on the right, particularly in Eastern Europe, turning to the extreme far right, particularly in countries like Poland and Slovakia and Hungary and other places. And in the United States, though the numbers are small, people who follow extremists like David Duke. Historically, Jews have been trapped between the red and the black, between the extremes of communism, the red, and the extremes of fascism, the black. Extremism has never been a virtue to the Jewish community or to its nation state. Centrism, whether it be liberal or conservative centrism, conversations between centrist liberals and conservatives is a far more productive way of engaging in dialogue. We must become united in defense of Israel rather than divided. And difficult as it may be, Israel must remain a bipartisan issue. I remain a Democrat because I refuse to give up on the Democratic Party. I refuse to turn over support of Israel to only one party. I urge those of you who are conservative and Republicans to remain within your party and make sure that your party, which has done a far better job of ridding itself of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel extremism, maintains that position. And so I'm here today because Chris Ruddy represents a sensible, centrist, conservative approach. He can talk equally well to centrist liberals and centrist conservatives. He understands points of view on both sides. Chris is brilliant, an innovative businessman, a great journalist, an influential advisor, and of course, we're here today because Chris is also a fervent Zionist who loves the nation state of the Jewish people and who loves the Jewish people. There could be no more appropriate award for Chris Ruddy than the Mort Zuckerman Award because their lives in so many ways parallel each other. Mort was a great journalist and a great entrepreneur and somebody who combined journalism and entrepreneurship. And that's what Chris has done. I've known Mort Zuckerman for almost 50 years. I've known Chris Ruddy for less time than that, but our relationship has become very close and very mutually beneficial. And so, to me, of all the qualities that Chris has, and there are so many, the one quality that really shines above all others is Chris is the personification of a mensch. And so, it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend and my colleague, Chris Ruddy.
You want me to carry that around?
Alan. I want to give you an award. Oh, I have to give you an award. You know, you and I now have the same award. I have this award from 2 years ago, the same chauffeur. I'll teach you how to blow it.
Okay, we'll do that. Down in Miami Beach.
That'll be great on the
think
beach.
they-
Okay. Mazel tov.
Thank you. Thank you, Mort.
Oops, I got it.
You now know that Alan Dershowitz is the Jewish mother I never had. Thank you, Alan. Actually, Mort doesn't probably remember this, but I was here when he had his first dinner with Senator Shelby in this very room in the 1990s. I believe it was his first dinner. And I've watched the progress of this organization. You know, Thomas Paine talked about our revolution, and he said that it was going to succeed because we didn't have summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. And when I hear the speeches tonight and I meet the people that come to the ZOA meeting, I know that these are the true believers and people that strongly believe in the cause of freedom. They believe in a strong Israel, and they believe in a very strong America. I was really touched winning or being awarded the Mort Zuckerman Journalism Award. Mort was and has been a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us. His significant other for many years, Clara Del Villar, is with us tonight. Clara, maybe you could wave somewhere. She's here. And Mort is a profile of courage. We have a number of these profile of courages tonight, and I think that's another thing that unites us. We're willing to take strong stands when the world is against us. I remember in the 2012 election, he thought Obama was a very dangerous threat to the security of Israel and the security of the United States, and he owned the Daily News. And everyone knows the Daily News is a Democratic newspaper read by Democrats. And he went out and he endorsed Mitt Romney in that election. Why? Because he believed in our country and he believed in the support of Israel. I'm very honored that Alan Dershowitz gave me the award tonight. Alan has been a hero of mine. He calls me a mensch, but he's actually a hero because I know that he has been, his cocktail party invites in Georgetown, Upper East Side, Martha's Vineyard, they've disappeared because he's just telling people the truth about Donald Trump. And they can't take it. And he's not saying, hey, I voted for Donald Trump or I support. He said, here's what the law says and how it should apply. That we shouldn't, just because somebody had a meeting, that doesn't mean there's collusion. And we constantly see this. Joe Lieberman is here with Hadassah tonight, and that is a... I know when the certain parts of the Democratic Party tried to run Joe out of the party, Newsmax came strongly behind him. We knew that it was so important to have that critical voice in the Senate. I'm so glad that after Hadassah told me Joe never retired. He's more busy now than he was as a senator. He's here tonight, so I'm very honored. When I was 19 years of age, I first went to Israel as a student. I studied at the Hebrew University. I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm a Christian Zionist. I believe strongly. I realized, and Mort and I were chatting about this before this award in the past week, and I said, you know, what's more important, that we have a fair and balanced media in this country, or that we could defeat all the enemies against the state of Israel? The greater threat is not the enemies. Israel's always going to have enemies. It's always going to have bad guys surrounding it. But we need to have a media that's fair and balanced, that gives the side of the story of Israel. So my mission as a journalist has always been to give the American people the other side of the story, to give them facts and information that they're not getting. And so much of what we hear about Israel, we're not being sort of given the fair shake. We know that Israel is under threat for its very survival from people like Iran. Iran has vowed for the annihilation and destruction of the Jewish state. And I think, if anything, we here as a group, Jews and Christians, must be united about in supporting our president in his efforts to protect Israel and keep America's only democratic state. I would just end by saying that two of my longtime friends, one is not with us tonight, the late Rabbi Morton Pomerantz. He was a great friend and mentor to me. He passed away. And Bob Unger, who helped me in my early days of journalism, he's here tonight as well. So I want to thank them. And again, thank you all, Alan and Mort, for this wonderful award, and for all of you tonight. Thank you.